Perek Yudalit. We last week in Perek Yud Gimel, we focused on the Chalukah of the east bank of the Jordan to Ruvain, Gad, and the Chatzi Shevet Menashe, that Moshe had conquered the territories of Sichon and Og. And last week we discussed the division of the land to those 2.5 Shvatim. The following chapters, I'm reading just as it's a good introduction that sets the scene for this perek from Steinsaltz. The following chapters focus in detail on the inheritance of the tribes on the western side of the Jordan, including we're going to learn the boundaries of their territories and the names of their cities. After Moshe had conquered the lands of Sichon and Og east of the Jordan, he gave them as an inheritance to the tribes of Gad, Reuben, and half the tribe of Menashe. His disciple Yoshua acts similarly. Capturing most of the settled areas of the land of Canaan, he first grants an inheritance to the tribe of Yehuda, followed by the sons of Yosef. The poor of these major tribes, who would later head 2 separate kingdoms that ruled over all of Israel, are spread across the breadth of Canaan, with the land of Yehuda in the south and the territory of Ephraim and Menashe in the center and north. The main Israelite camp subsequently moves to Shiloh. We're going to see now the Chaluk, the capturing was 7 years of Kvisha. And it's going to take them 7 years to finish the Chalukah. So it's 14 years. Keep remember that that's going to be a very important kavush. Mm-hmm. Kavush for 7 years and Chalukah for 7 years. Chalukah means to divide the land. So after in the 14th year, the camp is going to move to Shiloh, where the Mishkan is fully set up. Right now, the Mishkan is in Gilgal, where the camp is during this period of time. After the 7 years of Chalukah, they're going to move to Shiloh. However, now, at this stage, Yoshua maps out the rest of the land and divides it into 7 parts. We're going to discuss the lottery performed in the presence of the high priest and the tribal heads. Yoshua determines the final division of the land among the remaining 7 tribes, right? Because there's 2 tribes on the other side and a half, another half here. So it's 7.5. So that's 3. So, and he gave out, excuse me. So there's 7 plus Yehuda and Yosef. They're the first ones who get. So there's 9.5 on this side and 2.5 on the other side. That leads to 12. Right? 9 plus 2 plus a half and a half is 12. Now everyone, well, what do you mean 12? Because Levi doesn't get a portion. If Levi doesn't get a portion, here is where the fact that Yosef has been declared the Bechor by Yaakov, Bechor Shoro Hadarlo, because the Bechor gets Pishnayim. So in actuality, Yosef got double a portion in Eretz Yisrael. The Bechorah was taken away from Ruvain and given to Yosef, and the progeny of Yosef were treated like each one like its own shape. So Yosef got a double portion. So the first lot, after the Yehuda, which we're going to deal with first, Yehuda, then Yosef. Once they get to Shiloh, the first lot selected is that of the tribe of Benjamin, which receives the eastern area between Judah and Ephraim. Next is the tribe of Shimon, which receives a portion in the south, which is part of the inheritance of Yehuda. Zvulun inherits in the north, and its territory reaches the Mediterranean Sea, while Issachar's portion is in the plains northeast of Menashe. Asher receives its inheritance in the western Galilee, and Naphtali is to its east. Dan, the tribe that traveled last in the wilderness, is the final tribe selected by the Gorah, the lot. its original inheritance is north of Judah, west of Benjamin and Ephraim. However, due to the heavy presence of foreign nations in that region, in practice, Dan settled only a small part of its designated portion in the strip of Tzora and Eshtaol. After some years, when that area became too crowded, some of the members of Dan ventured out and captured a more peaceful area on the northeastern edge of the land of Canaan, where they could live comfortably. We'll see some of that in Shoftim.
Any quick question. Shiloh is not does not show in any of these maps. Where is Shiloh about?
We're not there yet. When we get to what I've done, Shiloh.
It's not in any of these maps.
I know.
Right.
I haven't sent you the map with Shiloh yet because
No, the maps we have in our.
She said it's by Benjamin. It's somewhere in the Benjamin area.
Uh-huh.
Shiloh is not going to be far from Shechem.
Okay, that's all.
It's in the center. Now, what I've done today is I've given a introduction to Perek Yud Daled through Perek Yud Tet. What I just discussed is going to happen over the next 5 prokim. Today we're going to see what happens with Caleb, then eventually Yehuda, then Yosef, and the other 7 tribes. But I tried to give an overview tonight of where we're going. What I'm trying to set the stage.
Does Zvulun, it only touches the Sea of Galilee over here. It's not on the Mediterranean.
Zvulun it does reach to the Mediterranean. We're going to see.
Okay, not on the map.
When we get to the specifics of Zvulun and each Shevet, we will have maps of all the areas. But we're not right today. We're not going to be dealing with the Chalukah of either of Yehuda or Yosef or of the next tribes. But that's going to happen in the next 5 prokim.
Okay, because Zvulun usually the symbol of Zvulun is a ship.
Zvulun does extend to the Mediterranean. We'll see that Zvulun will have north, and his territory does reach the Mediterranean Sea.
Okay.
So we will see that.
Okay.
Now, let's start Yudalid Perek Aleph. Yudalid Pasuk Aleph. Eila asher nachalu b'nei Yisrael be'eretz Canaan. Asher nachalu otam Elazar HaKohen v'Yoshua bin Nun v'Roshei Avot HaMatot Livnei Yisrael. The people involved in the ceremony of the Chalukah was, of course, Yoshua, the Kohen Gadol, and the Nasi of each Shevet. And we're going to see what their roles were in this Gorah. There is a major debate exactly how this Goral, this lottery, because the division of the land happened through a lottery. In Parshas Pinchas, in Perek Chavav, Pasuk Nun Beis, it says, La'ele techalek ha'aretz, to these shall the land be divided as an inheritance, b'mispar shemot, according to the number of names. La'rav tarben nachlato, for the numerous you shall increase its inheritance. V'la'ma'at tamit nachlato, ish lefi pekudav yutan nachlato, each according to his count shall the inheritance be given. Ach begoral yechalek et haaretz, the land will be divided by the goral. Lishmot matot avotam yinchalu. And again, the pasuk says, Al pia goral techalek nachlato, bein rav lama'at. I'm going to read basically Rashi here in Parshas Pinchas. Everything about the lot was conducted with divine inspiration, so that it would be clear to everyone that the outcome was God's will. 12 lots with the names of the tribes were placed in one box, and another 12 with the outlines of 12 portions of the land were placed in a second box. Elazar the Kohen Gadol, dressed in his big day kahuna, including the Urim V'Tumim. The Urim V'Tumim was a piece of parchment placed in the breastplate, which had the stones. And when they would ask a question, the stones would light up with certain letters, and the Kohen Gadol would interpret what the Urim V'Tumim was saying. Through the Urim V'Tumim, Elazar the Kohen Gadol declared prophetically that if the lot of a certain tribe were drawn, the corresponding territory lot would be such and such a portion. So he would say, if I call up Zvulun, his area is going to be such and such. So he would say that before they drew the lot. Then the leader of the tribe, Elazar mentioned, prophetic, right? He said Zvulun, let's say. So the Nasi would approach. He would draw the lot of his tribe and of the portion that had been mentioned, meaning they had put 12 names of the Shvatim in a box, and they shook it up. And then Elazar would say, Zvulun is going to get this area. And they would call the Nasi up. He stuck his hand, and they would shake the box up. He would stick his hand in, and miraculously come out and would say Zvulun. And then he would stick his hand in the other box, which had 12 territories, and it would also say the land, the area that Elazar, the Kohen Gadol, had said prophetically. As a further indication of divine intervention, the lot itself would declare. That means the die, whatever lot, would speak. I have been chosen to delineate the borders of such and such a tribe, because it says Al Pi Hagora. The mouth of the Gora literally spoke. Now, there's very interesting here because there's a Rashi here quotes Baba Basra, and he says Ashvatim ayuksivim b'shnemasar pitkim u'shnemasar gebulim b'shnemasar pitkim, and then it says clearly. Listen to Rashi. V'hanasi machnis yoda l'tocha v'notel shnei pitkim. So I'm reading Rashi in Parshas Pinchas. Rashi clearly says, quoting the Gemara, that it was the Nasi who put his hand in and pulled the two notes out. And then that piece of paper that they pulled out would also yell out and scream. Because, and this is all from that. That was said in Tanchuma. Now, it's very interesting. That's Rashi. And he cites Baba Basra. I'm going to read you Baba Basra from Kufcham Afal. Iboiluhu. Eretz Yisrael Lishvatim Iflig, Odilma Lakarkev Gavri Iflig. Meaning, the Gemara asks, was the land of Israel divided into 12 equal portions, one for each tribe? Meaning, they divided up Eretz Canaan equally. Well, if you were a shevet with 60,000 people versus a shevet with 20,000 people, obviously each individual person got smaller lots. Because if each shevet got the same size lot, we know that each shevet was not the same population. So the Gemara is asking the question, was it divided equally? And then it says, that is, the land was divided into 12 equal portions. Each tribe, regardless of its size, received one of them. The tribes then divided their portions among their respective members, given an equal share to each of those who left Egypt, according to Navi Yoshua, or to each of those who entered Eretz Yisrael, according to Rav Yonasan. So there's machlokas tanoim, whether they gave it based on the number of people who left Egypt in that tribe, or how many people crossed into Canaan. Or, Odilma lakarkev gavri iflik. Karkaf means your skull. Or was it divided according to the heads of men? That means it was divided into approximately 600,000 equal portions, one for each person. That's what the Gemara asks. Toshma says, and he quotes our pasuk that we just read, Bein Rav Lama'at. That means according to the lottery shall their inheritance be divided, whether large or small. That seems to imply that some portions were larger than others. So it seems that the land was divided according to the tribes. For if it were divided according to the heads of men, right, 600,000, each portion would have been the same. It's only going to be Ben Rav Lama'at if each Shevet was given the same and then divided into each, the population of each Shevet was different, so each tribe divvied up land differently. And the Otanya, okay, we don't need that. Then it says, V'lo nischalka ela bekesef. So what if somebody got a piece of land that was more valuable than another because some land was more fertile than others? So as it says, Sa'ab Yehuda Shava Chamesh Soin Begalil. So one person would pay the difference. They would pay, they would recompense the person if he got a better sense of a better portion. The guy who got a better portion would pay money to the guy who got less portion. Then it says, V'lo nischalka ela begora. It says this division took place by lottery. V'lo nischalka ela be'urim v'tumim. Shenemar al pi agora. And the Gemara says, Ha-ketza. How did it work? Elazar meluvash urim v'tumim. Elazar dressed the urim v'tumim. The Yoshua v'chol Yisrael ondim lefanav. Yoshua and all of Israel was standing in front. The kalfi shel shvatim, there was a box containing the names of the tribes. The kalpi shel tchumin munachim lefanav. And then there was another box containing the names of the different regions. And Elazar HaKohen, I am a chavin baruch HaKodesh. He consulted the urim v'tumim. The Omer, Zvulun Ola. Zvulun is going to come up next in the lottery. And he would say, Tchum Akko Ola Imo. And the area around Akko is going to come up with him. Then Toraf Bakalfi Shel Shvatim, he stirred up the locks in the box. The Ola Biyado Zvulun. And the lot of Zvulun came up in his hand. So either Elazar or the person who was Mamuna ala Kalfi, says the Meforshim here, the person who was appointed in charge of this lottery box. But it doesn't say anything about the Nasi. So where Rashi got that is unclear. Anyways, so that's the procedure. And so it's very clear that Shma Mino L'Shvatim Iflik. The Gemara ends up that the land was divided according to the number of tribes and not according to the number of citizens. And then there had to be a sort of a reckoning if a person got a more valuable piece of property. Any comments, questions so far?
Mm-hmm.
No.
I mean, if he was all divinely guided, right? I mean, why did they have to go through all this process?
Right, good question.
Why didn't just Hashem say, okay, you get this get that, they get that? What's all this?
In essence, that's what's going on, Johnny. But Hashem once in history appeared on Har Sinai and announced, we heard Anochi and Lo Yelach. But the what I just went through with Elazar and Urim V'tumim, that's basically Baruch HaKodeshim with Nevuah. So that's how it came out. And he did it the way you wanted it. But there's a structure to how we get instructions from HaKadosh Baruch Hu, either from a Navi, and sometimes even more explicitly, like Urim V'tumim, etc. And I think the Meforshim explain that the reason it was done so publicly,
So there was no complaints.
that there were no complaints. Everyone saw that this was through Yad Hashem, very clearly.
Excuse me, Ernie, what pasuk are you up to?
No, we did a big introduction on Perek Aleph. Pasuk Aleph. Where we went through the procedure of the Goyim. And now we're on Pasuk Beis. V'goral nachlatam kasher tziva Hashem b'yad Moshe l'tishat hamatot b'chatzi hamateh. The remaining 9.5 Shvatim have to be given territory in the part of Canaan that was now just conquered by Yoshua. We have already discussed the fact that Moshe had given the two and a half other Shvatim, Reuven, Gad, and Chatzi Shevet Amnashe. We went through that last week to the area conquered from Sichon and Og. And V'lalviim lo natan nachla b'tocham. And Leviim, remember last week we ended up with the pasuk, the last pasuk in last week's Perek Lamed, pasuk Lamed Gimel, u'leshevet halevi lo natan Moshe nachla Hashem lokei Yisrael lu nachlatam kasher yiver lehem. So therefore it comes pasuk Dalet to remind us, ki ayu bnei Yosef shnei matot shev Ephraim. Like I said, Yosef was appointed the Bechor by Yaakov. He took the Bechor away from Reuven and gave it to Yosef. It says Bechor Shoro Hadar Lo. He was the Bechor of Rachel and not of Leah. And a Bechor always gets Pi Shnayim over the regular brothers. So Yosef basically got two portions. Menashe and Ephraim are considered Yosef. Whenever we don't count Levi, we make up 12 Shvatim with Menashe and Ephraim. Now, there are other times where we do count 12 Shvatim, and we include Levi there, and Yosef is one Shevet. Here, where the Nachalot, actually, Levi didn't get a share, and Menashe and Ephraim got a share, they're counted among the 12. Now, the Leviim got 48 cities. Among the 48 cities were the 6 Arei Miklat, 3 on the on the eastern part of the Jordan, and 3 on the western. We're going to see Hebron is one of the Arei Miklat and one of the Arei Leviim on the side of Eretz Yisrael. And they were given, if it's, for example, if it's an Arei
Kalev was
Miklat,
supposed to get that. Wasn't Kalev promised Hebron?
okay, so we'll see soon. Hang on, very good. So Hebron itself, what was given to Kalev, and that's why it says here, Umigrashehem lemikdehem lekinyanam. The areas outside of the city were given to the Leviim, so they could keep their animals there, etc., etc. Smuchim la'ir michutz lachoma. Okay, weiter. Let me just see if there's something I wanted to say drasha-wise. No, we're fine. Then it says, so we have a picture of of this Goral and how they're going to do it. However, Vayikshu bnei Yehuda el Yoshua ba Gilgal. The Bnei Yehuda come to Yoshua. They're still in Gilgal. They only moved to Shiloh after 14 years. This is 7 years. We'll see it soon. Vayomer elav Kalev ben Yefuneh haknizi. Wow. When is the last time that Kalev has been mentioned? He's been mentioned many, many years ago. And all of a sudden, Kalev ben Yefuneh, right? We just read yesterday, Parsha Shlach, where we sent out the 12 Nesiim. So that was in the 2nd year in the Midbar. So 38 years plus 7, right? Because we said it took Yoshua 7 years to conquer, and it was 38 years before they came into Eretz Yisrael that the Meraglim were sent. It's 45 years since we've encountered Kalev. And we encountered him yesterday in the Parsha. And we're going to read about Kalev a little bit later on tonight. But all reappears. He says, Ataya data te davar shediber Hashem el Moshe, ish Elokim, al odotai va'al odotecha beKardesh Barnea. Kardesh Barnea was the place where they decided to send spies. And he said, Ben Arba'im Shana Anochi. I was 40 years old. Bishloach Moshe, Eved Hashem Oti, Mi Kardesh Barnea L'Ragel Ta'aretz. I was 40 years old when Moshe sent me to spy out the land. Va'eshev oto davar kasher im levavi. And I responded what was in my heart. Says Rashi, v'lo kasher im pi. Shamaraglim hayu be'etz achas. Initially, Kalev did not say anything. V'yari Kalev lomer lahem shelo yomar kemosam. He didn't initially say anything to quiet them down. Ucheshaba, but that's when they went. But when they came back after 40 days, he went against them. That's why we said yesterday, Ekev haisaruach acheres. Shahaya omer lahem echad b'peh ve'echad b'leiv. He told them falsely. He was mashaka to them that I'm going along with you initially, because he was afraid he was going to get killed. And when he came back, he went strongly against him. And that's why Rashi brings the Tanchuma to say, I told Moshe what it was in my heart, not necessarily what was in my pen.
Go ahead, Ellen.
Yes?
Go first, Ellen. Go ahead.
I didn't say anything.
Sorry. I
Says
just
the
find it, okay. I just
Bernie,
find it very
Bernie, let me just read the Radak. Near it. Ki kasher hayay mahem ad sheba'u lamachaneh haya maskim imahem bidvarav kidei shelo yarguhu. V'chasher ba'a lamachaneh yishiv dvar emet kasher levavo. V'zeh she'omer kasher levavi v'lo kasher im pi. I explained that when in the 40 days as they were trapped, the Meraglim spent 40 days spying out the land. And we know what the other Meraglim felt. There were giants, they're too strong for us, we can't do it. And Kalev didn't say anything at that time. Only when they came back, he said, no, alon nalev yarashnu ota, no, we can do it. They're wrong, because now he's not afraid to speak up. Yes, Bernie, what did you want to say?
No, I just found it interesting that I keep seeing repeated. Yoshua is writing the Sefer Yoshua, correct?
Correct.
He keeps, instead of saying he's now in charge, right? He's the manhig, he's the nasi, and yet he's the navi. Yet he's always repeating Asher Tziva Hashem as Moshe. He's not taking it upon himself. Yet the only one who is his contemporary is Kalev. They're the only two who survived through the entire process of the 40 years in the Midbar. Why is he not acting as a leader and saying, this is what I've been taught, and I'm just telling you? But no, the Psukim keep repeating Asher Tziva Hashem as Moshe. Now,
but remember now, Bernie,
we come up with Kalev.
This is Kalev speaking.
Now, before this, you look at the previous few Psukim, it says multiple times. He's very careful in his language.
So when we talked about the 2.5 Shvatim, he was very careful to say, Ki natan Moshe nachlat. Moshe gave Reuven and Gad. You remember in Parshas Matos Maseh? Reuven and Gad come to Moshe to say, we have a lot of sheep. Yoshua had nothing to do with it. And eventually Moshe gets from them a condition that they will come into Eretz Canaan to fight, and then they can come back. But already then, they leave their wives, their children, they build homes for them. That already happened when Moshe was alive. So here when it says, Ki natan Moshe nachlat shnei amatot v'chatzim atim b'Yarden, that's Yoshua being a narrator and reminding us that already happened in the times of Moshe. So
Yoshua is being very modest. He is not assuming the role of a leader with a strong hand. He's being very cautious in the way he's instructing the various shvatim and as to their halakim. This is what Moshe says. I'm merely telling you that because that's what Hashem commanded Moshe. He's not yet a man fully in control of the situation. That's just.
I would say like this. We've seen throughout Sefer Yoshua a symmetry. We've seen many times where Sefer Yoshua shows that whatever Moshe did, Yoshua did. So we've seen parallelisms many times by the Yarden, and by each time there is because because remember, Moshe told him Chazak be'matz, and there is this concept that Yoshua is filling in Moshe's shoes. So I think that it was to instill to Klal Yisrael the notion that Yoshua is taking over from Moshe. Moshe was Torah's Moshe. He came down from Har Sinai, etc. So it imbued Yoshua with more power. But we're going to see, Bernie, that at Yoshua's death, they don't mourn Yoshua like they mourn Moshe. Whether
But
it's because,
also, everybody knew that when Hashem spoke to Moshe, it was direct, and when he spoke to Yeshua, it was not direct.
like, what do they say? Moshe is the sun,
Sun, and Yeshua is the Levona, is
is
the
the
moon.
moon. He's just a reflection. So there's Yeridas Adoros. There's no question about it. But but Bernie's point was here, Kinos and Moshe Nachlosh Ne'amatos, that's just saying the facts. And here, Vayomer Elav Kalev. Kalev is speaking to Yoshua and says, Asher Diber Hashem Moshe Isha. Moshe spoke to me, Kalev, as appointing me to be one of the spies. So, okay, so it says, and Moshe was the one who sent the spies, not Yoshua. Ben 40 shana anochi b'shloch Moshe v'd Hashem oti mikadesh parnei l'ragil ha'aretz. V'yeshev otoravak Hashem levavi, like we said. Now, I just want to read.
Wait,
Yes?
can we presume that Yehoshua at the time of the Meraglim vociferously disagreed with the other Meraglim?
Say that again?
Can we assume that Yehoshua disagreed with the other Meraglim more vocally?
Yes, but there's a reason why he was able to do so. Moshe gave him a new letter in his name.
Yud, Yehoshua.
The
From
hey. Yeah, Hoshea Yoshua. Exactly, gave him the Yud. So he was already armed. So Kalev was in a different boat. And we're going to see there's something else that Kalev did when he was in Eretz Yisrael that gave him also further strength to be able to do what he did when he came back. But Yoshua already had protection from Moshe. And says the Musar Nevi'im, a person can tell a white lie if he's afraid. And the Gemara brings a number of rayas to that. That if you're afraid, you can say a white lie to save your life. The other thing to notice, it says Kalev ben Yefune HaKenizi. What is this Kenizi business? Says the Gemara in Masechta Sota that in Divrei Hayomim there's a list of all the great people in this period of time, and it says Kalev ben Chetzron. Remember, Chetzron is part of the from Yehuda, right? Chetzron, and it's part. Okay, it says Kalev ben Chetzron. So, Freik the Gemara, ben Knazhu. What do you mean Kalev ben Chetzron? He's the son of Knaz. Dichsiv, it's going to say later on in Perek Tezvav of Yoshua, Vayil Keda Atniel ben Knaz Achi Kalev. Osniel ben Knaz is going to be the first shofet in Sefer Shoftim that we're going to deal with. And it says that Osniel ben Knaz was the brother of Kalev. Well, if he's the brother of Kalev, then Kalev is also the son of Knaz. Omer Rava, Chorgo de Knaz. He was the stepson of Knaz. He was not. He was a stepson. Dekanami, Dechsiva Knizi, the Lonema ben Knaz. So he was in the family, but he was not the biological son.
It wasn't Kalev ben Yefuna?
So hang on. So that's right. So then it also says, we said that he's let's just read the next pasuk. My brothers, the other Meraglim, him sifas leva they weakened the heart of the nation. I followed Hashem. Vayishava Moshe vayoma lemor. Moshe swore, Im lo haaretz asher darka raglecha ba, the ground that you traveled when you came to Canaan as a spy, lecha tiel nachla ulevanecha adolam, will be for you. Ki milei tachre Hashem lokai. Ve'ata, now, hinei hechaya Hashem oti kasher diber ze 45 shana. So he gave me 45 years. Caleb is now 85 years old. Me'az diber Hashem es hadavar ze el Moshe asher halach Yisrael b'midbar. Va'ata hinei anochi hayom ben 85 shana. This pasuk, ladies and gentlemen, is one of the most profound historical psukim. That means we can find a few psukim in all of Tanakh that have this import historically, as we're going to try to learn together tonight. So we come out, it says very clearly that he's 85. It's 45 years. So what have we learned? We've learned very clearly that the period of Chalukah was 7 years. Because if it's 38 years from year 2 to year 40, and now he's 85, so it's got to be 7 years more have passed in order to get him to this age. That tells us that there are 7 years of Chalukah. Now we'll see where we go with that. So it says, Ben Arba, I'm reading from Masechta Zvachim. Well, we'll start off in Sanhedrin Samech Tes, which will address Ellen's issue. Minolan shebnei shmona shonim olidu. So first it wants to say like this. It said that Caleb was 40 years old when Moshe sent him as a spy. And it says, we are now going to show that these men were 8 years old when they had children. How do we know that? Mehacha. It says Ubitzalel ben Uri ben Chur lemate Yehuda. We know who Bitzalel was, right? He built the Mishkan. So Bitzalel is the grandson of Chur. Haresha Bitzalel nechto shel Chur. Uksiv, it says in Divrei Yomim, Vatamas Azuva, Vayikach lo Kalev et Efrat, Vatelid lo et Chur. Now, the Gemara is going to tell us who is Azuvah. That's Miriam. And Kalev married Miriam. And they gave birth to Chur. Arei shebitzalel nino shel Kalev. Therefore, Kalev is Bitzalel's great-grandfather. V'chi ovad Bitzalel Mishkan bar Kama Havi. When Bitzalel built the Mishkan, how old was he? Bar Tzleisar. He's 13 years old. Dichsiv, ish mimlachto, asher hema osim. V'tanya, shana rishona asa Moshe Mishkan. The first year when they were in the Midbar, they made the Mishkan. Shniya Heiki Mishkan. In the second year, they put up the Mishkan right on Rosh Chodesh Nisan, the Sholach Meraglim. Uvitzalel haya az ben arba esrei. Right? He was 13 when he built, because ish. You can't be an ish unless you're 13 years old. That's the definition of ish. So the next year he's 14. Uksiv ben arba'im shana anochi b'shloch Moshe v'Hashem. So they're figuring out like this. If Kalev is Bitzalel's great-grandfather, and Bitzalel in the second year when they send the Meraglim is 14 years old, and Kalev is 40, so how do they get there? So he's 40 then. Dal Arbeisar, take away 14, Bitzalel, then there's 26. Dal Tarti Shnei the Tlaya Iboy. It takes 2 years of multiple pregnancies. Because we said there's Bitzalel, there's Uri, then Chur. Each one there's 26 divided by 3 is 8, right? If you count the 2 years of pregnancy that takes place, with the mothers. So it just wants to show us that the generations populated much quicker. They matured at 8 years old. Our people go through puberty much later. But at this time, just like we have Rivka was 3 years old when Yitzchak married her.
How old was he at Kriyas Yamsuf? How
old was who?
Kalev.
So Kalev was 39.
At Kriyas Yamsuf. Yeah.
Well, because Kriyas Yamsuf occurred a year before they were sent. Because they were sent in the second year. Kriyas Yamsuf occurred 7 days after they left Mitzrayim. Why do you want to know how old he was by Kriyas Yamsuf?
Because you're talking about an 8-year-old.
I'm Kalev. So we say Bitzalel was 13 by Kriyas Yamsuf.
Understood.
Because that was the year they built the Mishkan. But remember, the great grandfather Kalev was 40. So right you have Chur, then Chur had his son Uri, and then he eventually had Bitzalel. So the Talmud reasons out through this calculation how old these fathers had to be when they gave birth. That's all here, right?
So far.
Now, then it says Oel Moed Shebegilgal Arbe Esrei Shan. This is a very, very, what we're going to learn now is extremely important. Because I mention this all the time in the Daf Yomi. Sydney will remember me mentioning this all the time. That
The dates.
that there's 7 years of Chalukah and 7 years of conquering and 7 years of Chalukah. How do we know that? The Torah, the Tanakh Yoshua never tells us that. We learn it all from this pasuk. Let's see. It says in Masechtas Zvachim, Oel Moed Shebegilgal Arbes Reishana. Before they moved the tent to Shiloh, it sat in Gilgal for 14 years. The question is, how do we know that? Sheva Shekivshu, Sheva Shechilku. They conquered for 7, they divided for 7. The Gemara asks, Minolan, how do you know that? The Ka'amar Kalev, Ben Arba'im Shana Nochi B'Shloch Moshe Eved Hashem Oti Mikadesh Barneya, Va'yeshev Oto Davar Kashem Avavi, Uksi V'ata Inei Anochi Hayom Ben Chamesh U'Shmonim Shana. This 45 years that Kalev told us, because now they finished the conquering and they're about to 7. So that told us, Ki Avili Yardin Bar Kamavi. How old was he when they crossed the Yarden? Bar Shivanu Tamni. He was 78 because he was 38 years before when they sent out the Meraglim, and 38 years later they crossed the Yarden, so he's 78. And now when they're doing the Chalukah, he says Ben Chamesh U'Shmonim Shana. Now he says in 85, Haresh Sheva Shekivshu. So that says that the period of time that we just went through, the first 14 books of Yoshua, took 7 years. Because now they're at the period of Chalukah. Hare, Sheva Shekivshu v'Sheva Shechilku. Minolan. Okay, so you prove to me that they conquered for 7 years. How do you know that the division took another 7 years? Says the Gemara, Iboy Sema, Mida Sheva Shekivshu, Sheva Nami Shechilku. It's sort of like if it took him 7 years to do that, it'll take him 7 years to do that. Now, that's not a very strong answer. Now, whenever the Gemara gives an answer and it doesn't like the answer, what does the Gemara usually do? It gives us another answer. We have the Iboy Sema. If you want, I'll give you another answer. But whenever you see that, it's because the first answer was weak. So it says, there's a pasuk in Yechezkel, Perek Mem, which is the Perek that begins Yechezkel's vision of Bayis Shlishi, where he says, "Ba'arbayis Shana achar asher huksa ha'ir. He says 14 years. So I'm bringing the Gemara in Zvachim. By the way, the Gemara in Zvachim repeats exactly what I just went through. Sheva shechilku minol and iboy sema medisheva shekivshu shavanami shekilku ezer. It says barbas reshana achar asher huksa ha'ir. In the fourth, Yechezkel is saying, my nevuah now is 14 years after the Yerushalayim fell. It says like this: in the 25th year of our exile, on the new year, on the 10th of the month, in the 14th year after the city has fallen. Now, does Rosh Hashanah fall on the 10th of the month? Rosh Hashanah falls on the 1st of the month. So what does that mean, Rosh Hashanah? So the Gemara in Erchin says that it refers to Yom Kippur of the Yovel year, which is considered Rosh Hashanah of the Yovel, because on every 50th year, on Yom Kippur of Yovel, you blow shofar, and all the slaves go free, and everything else that triggers on Yovel happens on Yom Kippur, not on Rosh Hashanah. Now, so it says from this that if the 14, now it says like this, follow me carefully. If we say there was 14, listen carefully, 7 and 7 is 14. Then the Mishkan Shiloh was 369 years. And then they were in Nov and Givon in between after the Mishkan was destroyed for 57 years. And then they built the Beis HaMikdash. And it says they built the Beis HaMikdash 480 years after they left Mitzrayim, or 440 years after they entered the Eretz Yisrael. And Bayis Rishon stood for 410 years. So you're talking about 850 years from when they entered Eretz Yisrael. Remember, 480 since they left Mitzrayim, which is 440 when they came in. That's when they built the Beis HaMikdash, Shlomo. And if you add up 14 plus 369 plus 57, you get 480. And Chazal tell us Bayis Rishon stood for 410, and Bayis Sheni stood for 420. So 850 years is exactly 17 Yovels. So the thing is, we have a Mesorah that the Churban occurred 14 years before Yovel. In the 36th year of the 16th Yovel. That's also a Mesorah that Chazal were told at the time of Tisha B'Av. So that's the 14 years. That's why the Gemara says you can't calculate Iboy Sema. It's midlo mishkachasla. To figure out what Yechezkel was talking about, that it's 14 years ago, it's because it has to do with the 14 years that is required to get us to the 850 years. But it's not 850, it's 850 minus 14, and that's how we know it's not just Shava Shechilku, Shava Shekivshu, Shava Shechilku, but it works out historically based on the number of years. If we assume that the 14 years were spent in conquering a portion of land, and accept additionally that the Yovel count did not begin until the Jews were settled into the land, it emerges that the temple was destroyed 36 years after the 16th Yovel, or 14 years before the 17th Yovel. Shemitah and Yovel did not start until 14 years when we came into Klal Yisrael. So it was really 850, but they didn't really start counting Yovel until after the 7 plus 7. Because it wasn't until Klal Yisrael was on their land, Shevet by Shevet, that you can deal with Shemitah and Yovel. So this one pasuk is the pasuk that lays the groundwork for all of those historical numbers. Okay. Back to the pasuk. Vayishava Moshe Bayamahu Lemor. Oh yeah, so we said, now, we know that Kalev bring me the Chumash, please. I'm reading from yesterday's Parsha. Vayalu Negev, Vayavo ad Chevron. We're talking about the Meraglim. So you accept that it says Vayalu Negev. Vayalu is what kind? Is it plural or singular? Vayalu is plural. So they got to the Negev. Then it says Vayavo ad Chevron. What shouldn't it have said Vayavo ad Chevron? So who came to Chevron?
Kalev.
Kalev. So you see it from the pasuk. Vayalu Negev, Vayavo ad Chevron. V'sham achiman sheishai v'tamai l'dei anak. So this is the symbol that Chevron went to be mishtakeach by Kever Avos. Masechta Sota said, and Rashi brings it there. I'll read the Rashi. Kalev levado halach sham, says Rashi. V'nishtatech al kivrei avos. He davened by the maratz of Amachpela. Shelo yenisas lechaver of lios batzosim. So he should get out of this bad advice of the Meraglim. V'cheinu omer lo va'etenes haaretz asher dorach ba. And that's why Moshe promised him, I'm going to give you that territory that you went to. Uksiv, and later on in Shoftim it says, Vayitnu lekalev es Chevron. So Kalev gets this as a reward. I'm going to read from, again, Rabbi Hattin. Alone among the spies, he goes to Hebron at the Cave Machpelah, seeking to draw spiritual strength that he would need. From that pilgrimage, Kalev also hoped to draw inspiration for the people of Israel to remain steadfast in their faith, that God's pledge to bring them into the land would be realized. And this section that we're going through, which begins with a moving recollection of Kalev's visit to Hebron some 45 years earlier, an expedition that not only offers dazzling proof of his own courage, because he survived 45 years because of that, but also provide the people of Israel with a paradigm for the nurture of their own spiritual fortitude. Kalev is alive to recount those ancient events, standing before them with his vigor undiminished and his trust in God undimmed, while the other Meraglim have long ago perished. And that's why they focus on his age, right? It's not just Tamazo. And they see that the essence, Klal Yisrael is now learning as the essence of this Chalukah, the division for them has to be, the success will be there, emulating Kalev in his heroism and in his trust and his Ne'emanus HaKadosh Baruch Hu. That's why the story is brought sort of as, we haven't talked at all about the Chalukah yet. This story of Kalev is now brought in sort of as an introduction to it. And I think it's a nice spiritual message to us, even from a stylistic point of view, the way this literary wise, it was brought up initially. Back to Pasuk Yud Aleph, Odeni Hayom Chazak, I'm the same strength kasher b'yom shlachoti Moshe, kekochi az ukochi ata. My strength is not diminished. Lemilchama v'latzeit lavo. Now there's a reason. Hebron is going to be a very tough nut to crack. It's a walled city. There are giants there, not just giants like Og and people like that. So it's going to require tremendous military strength. The atat naliyat harazeh. Kalev asks for it. Asher diber Hashem bayom hahu ki ata shamata bayomo ki anakim sham va'arim dolot b'tzurot ulai Hashem otiv or ashtim kasher diber Hashem. Allow me to take the role that Hashem wanted me to take ownership of this land. Vayvarcher Yoshua vayitenet Chevron leKalev ben Yefuna lenachla. Al kein aytach Chevron leKalev ben Yefuna knizu lenachla ad hayom hazeh. Yana Hashem ilachrei Hashem lokei Yisrael. V'shem Chevron lefanim Kiryat Arba. Ha'adam hagadol ba'anakim hu v'ha'aretz shakta b'milchama. Who are these? Who are the Amagadol? So the Radak says, Arba hu Shem Anak. Arba was the name of this giant. V'hu ha'adam hagadol ba'anakim. So these were the giants. Sheshai, Achiman, Talmai, which are mentioned in other places of Tanakh. Now, of course, there's a lot of drushes that this, of course, also refers to Kiryat Arba, the 4 pairs of our forefathers that are buried in Maras HaMachpelah, right? Adam Arishon with Chava, and then Avram, and Sarah, Yitzchak, and Rivka, and Yaakov and Leah, because Rachel is buried in Kever Rachel. But that's the Arba pairs. And says the Medrash Breshis Rabba Ha'adam Hagadol Banakim Ze Avram. V'lama koreh oter gadol shaya ra'ui li barot kodem la'adam harishon. Avram Avinu really should have been created before Adam Harishon. El Omer HaKadosh Baruch Hu Shema Yikalkel ve'ein mi sheyavo l'taken achra. Adam Harishon, we know, failed, and he needed Avram to come and save him. If Avram would have been created first and failed, there would have been nobody to save us. Elas says the Medrash Hareni Boreh Adam Tchila. I'm going to create Adam Harishon first. Im Yikalkel Yavo Abraham B'Taken Tachtav. Says the Musar Nevi'im. Mikan Mashma Shayadu HaKadosh Baruch Hu Shavram Yavo B'Takel Kilkulo Shel Adam Harishon. So it seems that HaKadosh Baruch Hu had foreknowledge that Avram was going to fix the problem. Im Kain Kasher. So then why did we just learned the Medrash and said, well, HaKadosh Baruch Hu had a thought that if he would have created him first, there would have been nobody. Well, he knew that he was going to save Adam. The Hanina Enoshi says like this: the human species, domel gidulo shel adam, is like the way a human being grows up. Shebimei anarus hu alul kakel. As a young person, you can go off the derech. Uchshu magili mei amida, you get into your middle ages. Hu metakenet masav, he fixes his ways. Umachmad zeh Adam Harishon chata b'nei shemin haEnoshi haya od b'mei hayaldut. Adam Harishon was in the early stages of humankind. V'lachen haya chashash im Avram yeh Harishon b'abriya shema gam hu yikashel be'ezechet. I want to read the Medrash further. Amar Rav Bar Kana b'noit sheba'olam Adam yesh lo koresh opat hechan hu notne lo be'emza. If a person has if a builder has a very strong beam, he puts it in the middle of his palace. So that it'll bear the weight of beams in front and beams after. So Avram was created in the middle. And the Musar Navim says, Masha Amru Shavram Yasovel Dor Shalafana, like it says in Baba Kama. Shechas HaKadosh Baruch Hu al Ammon u'Moav b'shvil beis protos tovos Rus HaMoaviyah v'Noam HaAmonis Shatidit Latzeit Mena. We that Kadosh Baruch Hu wanted to destroy Ammon and Moab. They lived with their father, but they didn't want anything, and they were bad people. But he kept them because of Rus. that would come out of them. V'chein HaKadosh Baruch Hu chas al kol olam kulo b'shvil Avram, she'atid latzeit mehem. That's why he wanted to destroy the world by the door haflaga, by the door mobile, but he was waiting for Avram. ומה שאמרו שהוא סובל דורות של אחריו, זהו משום זכותו, הרי הקדוש ברוך הוא מתרחם על התולדות שיצאו ממנו. And that answers also the question why he wasn't created instead of Adam Harishon. This is a very important concept. Not all times are created to produce all great people. כי אפשר שאם היה נברא אברהם אבינו בזמנו של אדם הראשון, לא היה מגיע לאותו מדרגה שהגיע אחר כך. כי באמת הרשות הגדולה של האדם מולידה את הצדיקים בזמן של ממשלת נמרוד, שעד הספשט הרשות בטבע, וכל האנשים היו נבראים מתגרת יד העריצים. זאת גרמה להתגלות צדקת אברהם אבינו בעולם. It means, HaKadosh Baruch Hu created, just Avraham Avinu might not have been Avraham Avinu if he was born at the time of Adam Harishon. He became Avraham Avinu, his potential came out into actuality because of the circumstances. There was a lot of evil, Nimrod, Avodah Zarah. V'lachein, bizman she'anachnu ro'im, ki harishut mitgaber, if we look at a period of time where there seems to be a lot of evil in the world, ein lanu lavo l'dei nefilat haruch, we shouldn't become depressed. Ki tnuah zu atida lamid tnuah chadasha shel tzidkut. When you see evil, eventually you might see a very strong movement of righteousness to rise against it. Asher totzi mikirban hashim ba'alei ruach asher yavo latzil et ha'enoshiyut mireshet ha'satan asher nafal tocha. Just an interesting comment that he has, that Avraham Avinu is this anak because of the times that he lived in. I want to say another thing, that Kadosh Baruch Hu destroyed Mitzrayim 40 years before Canaan. It means the Canaanites are now killed out, but the Egyptians had been killed out 40 years before. Mm-hmm. It says, Kimasei Eretz, this is from Torah's Kohanim, Kimasei Eretz Mitzrayim Asher Shabtem Balot Tasu, Kimasei Eretz Canaan. Hikish Mase Mitzrayim Lamase Canaan. Listen, the Canaanites were no better than the Egyptians. They worshiped foreign gods. Baal, Ashtaroth, Uvigiluy Arayos. They had fertility goddesses and fertility rites, and it was all immorality. Uvishvichas Domim, Uvimishkav Zochor, homosexuality. Uvarbos Behema, bestiality. Af Maasem Shel Mitzrayim Kiyotz Behem. V'im Kain Lama Kadmu Mitzrayim Laknanim Ba'arba Shana Lupuranus. So why did the Egyptians get their punishment 40 years before? Mipnei Shekibdu Es Osu At Tzadik. Shma'enu Adoni Nasi Elokim Ata B'tochenu. The Canaanites, remember Ephron Achiti, gave honor to Avraham Avinu. For that schut, they survived another 40 years. Having covered to a Talmid Chacham, or having that's an amazing medrash. Right. That because they were given kibbut to also tzaddik, that whole society survived another 40 years. So I think it's a powerful voice.
Okay, sure.
We went a little over time, but we had a lot of, I think, a lot of material to cover.